So I'm Scott Chamberlain. I'm a senior lecturer at the ANU College of Law, part of the legal workshop, where I teach in the Masters of Legal Practice stream. I'm a principal of Chamberlain's Law Firm. It's a 23 staff, 14 practitioner firm in Canberra. I'm also the principal of Wellspring Legal, which is Chamberlain's Law Firm's innovative spin-off law firm for doing new and groovy things. And I don't have an opening statement.
Well, you've just intrigued me. What new and groovy things are you doing?
Chamberlain's created an online system, Chambers Online, which is an online document and advice system for clients. The challenge we set ourselves, if you look at the online document space, they all have a clause that says, we're not a law firm, this is not legal work, you can't sue us, you can't sue the law firm that did these documents for us, please pay us $400. Ours is legal work. We designed the system so we could call it legal services. The documents pop out with a tailored piece of advice to the document that's been done. And that was its own challenge. Wellspring Legal has a new and different version of the software, and we use that to do a program called Wills Well Done, which again is doing wills but calling it legal work.
The legal workshop courses, you've been designing those.
Yes.
What are the skills that you're seeking to build from those courses?
So I teach two courses. One is the Future of Legal Practice, which is about the innovative delivery of legal services, impact of technology, and the other is Legal Entrepreneur, which is designed to build upon the first course. Mostly in the first course we're seeking just to crack open students' perception of what is coming down the pipe. Some of the research suggests that students are blissfully not ignorant. They simply think the world will continue the way that it is and jobs in big law firms will be there and that's just how it will happen. So this is designed to say, hey, that's not how it's necessarily going to be. Here are a bunch of tools and theoretical ways of looking at the impact of technology and being able to talk about them intelligently. And in the Legal Entrepreneur course, it's about saying being a lawyer won't be just what you are used to think of as being a lawyer. And there are many problems in society that are what we call systemic legal problems. You can't deal with them one-on-one, just addressing the client in front of you. In fact, it requires a holistic solution. So it's trying to create a type of what we would see as a new lawyer of the future, this legal entrepreneur, and it riffs off the concept of social entrepreneurism, where the object is a social dividend. Here the object is to work on getting a justice dividend.
And how are students responding to these courses?
So my Future Legal Practice, I taught it the first time last semester and we got sort of 4 and 5s out of 5s in terms of student engagement and passion for the course, which is fantastic, and we're halfway through now the first run of Legal Entrepreneur.
Okay.
It's too early to tell for that one.
You said that students were blissfully unaware of what the profession is like outside.
Most students assume they're going to go and get jobs in law firms doing legal work, like they think legal work exists. And the first thing I do in the Future of Legal Practice is to get them to do a very short essay about what they think a lawyer is and what the role of a lawyer is. And that's designed then to juxtapose that with the point they arrive at the end of the course, so they can see how much their initial thinking has changed.
And have you been looking abroad for inspiration for your course and the subjects?
Obviously, I mean, everyone in this space reads Richard Susskind, and there's other authors out there, but this is part of our journey to develop something specifically Australian and from the ANU's point of view to try and lead the world in this space. I'm not aware of any other course about legal entrepreneurism.
Scott, my focus is very much on in-house lawyers because of the role that I have, and if the statistics are to be accepted, currently 30% of lawyers are practicing either in an in-house role or in a government role. Do you feel that the universities or any education providers are providing training for people to move into an in-house role, given it is a very different way to practice law? Sure.
So part of the Masters in Legal Practice, one of the units that we've introduced this year is in-house legal work. And that's run by a guy called Brett Walker, who was former General Counsel at CSIRO. So we're moving into that. We see that as an issue.
Do you see it as an opportunity?
Very much. Not only an opportunity, it's a necessity. So clients of law firms no longer want to pay for lawyers students to be turned into
Correct.
lawyers. And so law schools are going to have to get much better at pumping out lawyers and not just law graduates. And that also aligns with the in-house. You're now going to have people who will go their whole career in in-house. And in-house is having to adjust as a result by having secondment mechanisms between different in-house teams and this sort of thing. So it's a defined part of the profession. That will also drive change faster, because you'll have a whole chunk of the profession who's never been in-house and who's never been in private practice, and therefore won't bring any of the this is how it used to be done and this is how it should be done. They'll have wholly new ways of looking at it from uniquely the client's perspective. So you would expect the more lawyers that go in-house, the faster change will cascade through the profession.
I wanted to clarify where your courses sit
Sure.
to start with. So my understanding is that ANU, there's the law degree,
Yes.
and then there's the, I guess, the qualification that you need to do equivalent to the College of Law.
GDLP.
Yep, GDLP, that then allows you to practice.
Yep.
Are your courses available in both of those, or one of those, or?
So it's masters, so it's postgraduate. It's not available as part of the undergraduate.
Right.
And it's the way it works. GDLP, you can simply extend it into an MLP. But many of my courses are available to not just people within the law school, but from elsewhere within the university.
Right. So if a person did a law degree, they wouldn't necessarily be able to access these. So an undergraduate law student.
If they've done an undergraduate law degree, they'll be able to access these courses.
Right, so they can take them as like an elective.
Yeah, but not as part of their There's this peculiar regulation where we used to have a situation where you could begin your GDLP early. You'd finished all the courses that you needed, but before you graduated, you could enrol and start your courses, and your qualifications would catch up. Now there's a hard and fast, you can't enrol in GDLP until you've got the little certificate from your undergrad degree, which is...
Right.
So there's regulatory barriers to pushing legal skills down into the undergraduate level, and you pretty much can't do them together. I know that Leo Cussins has recently announced its arrangement with Swinburne, where it will seek to teach part of the GDLP effectively as part of the undergrad, and we're keen to know how they managed to do that legally.
Okay, that's interesting.
Well, just what are the barriers? What are the legal barriers to teaching those as undergraduate subjects?
It's that you can't offer it. You just can't do it. It's
Who is saying that you can't do it? Even as an elective?
Yes, I'm not being the dean of the school. I'm not completely across the details,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, I know for a fact that you can't enrol in GDLP until you've actually graduated, whereas there used to be a situation where we could enrol people early.
Do you think that the universities alone have a responsibility for equipping students for future as lawyers, or is it a shared responsibility with the profession? And I think Professor Hinchin's also included the admissions authorities in that as well.
Sure. It's going to need an holistic approach from all involved, because it's all related. When we talk about lawyers and legal practice, the definitions that we've got in the legislation, as I've made a point in my slides, it's circular. So what is a lawyer is the first question that we need to answer. There's potentially scope for different levels of qualification, because you're going to need to be scaffolded into practice. One of the challenges for lawyers, for the next crop of lawyers, will be simply getting that initial job that gets you the skills. We've seen those situations where law firms want to charge their lawyers $22,000 for the training in their first job. That firm in Adelaide that had that problem, and
I think that was short-lived.
it was very short-lived. But I am aware of other attempts to find a way around those issues. So. The emergence of firms like Advent, Balance and Axiom, that sort of those sort of people placement type firms. Where are those? At the moment, those employees are coming from, they're being cannibalised from the big firms. But sooner or later, there won't be any cannibalism left, and they're going to have to be trained some way in some sustainable process to get their skills. And that's where I think the universities have a role to play. We are going to have to offer a lot more of what you call the short courses and the formal training, because if you want to become an expert in a particular area of law, you won't necessarily be surrounded by experienced professionals. You might be in a micro firm, you might be in one of these people placement agencies, and your only mechanism to be able to get that skill set is going to be formal qualifications.
You seem to be very focused on what is going to happen in the future,
Sure.
gauging by the subjects that you've...
It'll be all good fun in the future.
well, I was going to ask you that. In 10 to 20 years' time, what will the legal profession look like in your view?
So 10 to 20 years' time, there'll be a lot more of the micro firms. I subscribe to Benjamin Barton's view that law used to be done by small firms of 1 to 2 partners in partnership. Turn of the century, only the 14 firms in America had more than four partners. And that's a potential model for legal practice in the future, because technology will allow us to do more with less. What can be done by robots will be done by robots, and what can't be done by robots will be that high-end, sage advice that many lawyers I know, that's actually what attracts them to the profession. And a lot of the drudgery will be done elsewhere and by machines. But and the larger law firms will be smaller because they're set up to do that project scale of work. In fact, most law firms are set up to do that type of work where it's large amounts of expertise and support resources required. And people don't want their legal problems to be projects. They don't want to have to spend that much money to access their rights. And technology will progressively find ways to turn it back into a person scale work that can be done by a smart person with a laptop and an internet connection, or there'll exist very efficient businesses to do the process-driven work.
Is funding an issue at the moment for innovation and developing subjects?
Funding's an issue mainly because, like law firms themselves, for the technology to develop a new solution, that's partner profits that have got to be set aside and not distributed that year and reinvested. And to do a program requires a lot of ones and zeros, but also a lot of dollars. It's a sunk cost that law firms aren't used to making, because normally you have a resource, you pay them a wage, and that can earn an hourly rate straight away and off you go. So it's a very different business model. I think a similar issue arises with education. The legal workshop's been online for many, all my courses are taught wholly online. The whole of the ANU workshop is taught mostly online. We now have a JDO, an online JD. So the resources are there, but it's still an investment to turn what is otherwise face-to-face teaching into an online content.
If your courses are all online, do you feel that the students are getting as much benefit out of face-to-face? I'm probably not expressing myself well, but I remember when I was at university, if there was a chance to watch a lecture while sitting in my bedroom in the dorms, I did, because it was easy to do so. But I feel I missed out now that I'm 25 years older. I feel that I missed out not going to the lectures and not having that feedback and the vibe that was in the room. Do you think students are missing out by doing more online teaching, or online learning, I should say?
Yeah, there is an issue. I think there's an element where if what you're delivering is knowledge, then online is by far the best way to do it. If what you want to do is combine that knowledge with skills, then you need to have scope for face-to-face. And the reason is that a lot of the legal skills are difficult to teach in an online environment. So I think the comment is that face-to-face becomes premium time, and the problem is that people just can't give up so much of their day to be able, or their life to be around for the face-to-face. So for the GDLP, we have a 1 week, what we call BAP, becoming a practitioner. And the desire would be that more of the knowledge is delivered online, and therefore the week of the BAP is used to polish and hone and assess skills rather than to deliver the knowledge content.